thinking about the 5 rhythms, we're going through cycles, our bodies, nature, plants, the moon, that we experience all these things. We're part of this. And that also that's built into the 5 rhythms practice with the rhythms, the waves, that it's based off a natural, one of the like most common patterns in nature of the wave is the wave of the dance, is that you work in cycles. I know the way you've structured things, it's often been nature inspired and like how you structure your work. And I see that thinking about nature built into this dance, that we find ourselves, so the rhythms being flowing, staccato, chaos, lyrical, stillness. I find myself in different rhythms naturally in different parts of the seasons of the cycle, and just accepting where I am is part of what I hear you saying too. Is I've been, this was just like kind of a low energy weekend for me. This is a weekend where I needed to go inward. And that's hard for me to accept sometimes, that when I'm in New York City and Brooklyn right now, and there's so many friends and things to do. And then, but that's not what part of the cycle I'm on, of my energy. And if I just go outward all the time, I'm not embracing the rhythm that I'm in. I'm not embracing where I am in the wave. And that's been a lesson this weekend. I've learned how to learn that lesson many times, but it's one that to me reflects back to how the rhythms and the practice is connected right to cycles in nature.
Yeah. And, so the rhythms of expansion people love because you feel great and you're connecting with people, but we need the same amount of the rhythms of contraction, which are stillness. And then for the next thing to be born, for the next seed to come, which is flowing, and where you start receiving, you got to have some quiet, and you kind of be in the dark a little bit so that you can sort of soak in all that nourishment before you create that stem and that energy that moves up, that staccato that's going to come with the to-do list and the things that you're going to do. And if you don't honor it, then the stem's not going to be very strong, where the flower hopefully would come, which is chaos. And then the harvest is lyrical. And then the death and the going back into the soil to create fertilizer for the next seed, stillness. Yeah, I'm glad you got that this weekend. Yeah.
I was a little resistant. But now that I've had it, I'm grateful for it. But yeah, I find myself resisting contraction, like many other people, I think, probably can relate to that resistance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely in our culture to just want to expand, 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 expand. And man, chaos wouldn't be so good without stillness and flow. I have noticed a lot of students like to just show up late and just get right into the staccato and then chaos, that beat and stuff. But it's sort of like sex. Like I would say to people, do you really want to skip foreplay every time? Like it's important, this nourishing time of like, where am I? Who am I? What is going on inside of me? What is it that I like? What is it that I need? Am I thirsty? Do I need to go to the bathroom? Like sometimes we're so cut off from our bodies, and flow gives us that chance. Like, okay, where am I? What's going on inside of here? And then getting in touch with that place that needs to move. Yeah, and finding that quiet place and letting the peak literally be born out of that. And so that you're not doing the same pattern in that sort of fun, expanded space, but it's coming literally out of whatever you got from the unknown, from the deep within. It may look like a different chaos each time if you really can get deep down in there, and spend some time down in there. Yeah, there's a lot of teaching in stillness and flow that we need to learn to love it. Yeah. Floor work. I love that. 20 minutes of floor work. Yeah.
That's one. So that sounds like one practice we have to offer people. Go 20 minutes on the ground, 20 minutes slow. Do you have
Slow movement.
other ways or other ways for me to relate to or others to relate to slower dancing to quiet spaces?
Yeah, so I would say micro movements. Like right now your eyelids are moving. You know, you can play quieter music and just let the body subtly move and start to feel the shifts and changes within the body. Um, and while we're doing cooking, or you know, we're doing repetitive movements, to notice the little intricate movements that are happening within the slicing or the, you know, stirring or those kinds of things within our days. But I encourage people to listen to slower music, you know, 90 bpms or less, you know, 72, you know, super slow, and moving with that. Yeah. The other piece, especially during flow, is to really get connected with the skin. Um, so it's a sensual experience, but also slow. And, you know, especially in a room full of sometimes like what, 80 some people, it's like it's a big ask to go inside like that. But learning to do that and having a whole room of people doing that together, it's powerful. But I do, you know, people will come to class because they want to meet other people, right? I
Of
mean,
course.
so it's and it's important. I think about that a lot because like the classes, there'll be people that will have like a small number there at 8 o'clock at night, and then by 8:30, you know, the room is like super full. And I always hear it's the traffic, and I'm always curious if that's really the truth.
Yeah, I'm skeptical. But this is bringing up a lot for me of just meeting ourselves. I love that we're there to meet other people, but then you're creating this space to meet ourselves. This practice of meeting ourselves when we're 80 people around us. That I'm just thinking about that. I'm on the subway, and how am I meeting myself when I'm on the subway and not being pulled into everybody else's? There's a lot of stuff happening on the subway, you know, when you're going down there in public spaces and crowded cities that can pull you out of your own body. And I think about giving myself permission on the dance floor just to put my hands on my own skin, to touch my arms, my shoulders. That's something that, you know, whenever I first started doing that on a dance floor, I realized that's not something I do consciously. It's just touching myself like that, giving myself some like embodied, bring myself back to my body kind of self massage or touch. And that's something that, you know, I would offer too to myself and others in those slow moments. You know, you were talking about noticing the clothes on the skin, but yeah, touching the self is
Yes,
subtly
it's
can be
beautiful.
really
And
helpful.
yeah, and even like putting your hands on your elbows or on your arms, or you know, to help it's grounding. It helps you come back in, to actually feel that boundary between you and other and out there, right? Yeah.